Guys, GHAZZY TV here. We're going to go through the news I've been missing of the last 2 days from Path of Exile and the announcements for the 3.11 Harvest League. And we're going to do this live on stream, and if we feel that this is something we want to put on YouTube, we will. So, hi. How you guys doing? We're rebalancing over 50 unique items. I love when they do rebalancing of 50, like, not of 50, but when they do rebalance of unique items, because mostly unique items are just vendor trash for alchemy shards. Some have received numerical buffs, while others have received new mods and mechanics. We're really excited about the possibilities that many of these unlock. While we plan to reveal more of these over time, we're prepared to preview 10 of rebalanced uniques to get your appetite, to whet your appetite. Rigvold's Savagery and Rigvold's Command. Okay. Increased attack damage whilst dual wielding, and attack speed, and plus 25 maximum range while holding a sword. Okay. That's interesting, because they like the range is actually really good on this one. Like to get that maximum range. How is the old one? Rigvold Savagery. Rigvold Savagery. How is the old one? I'm pretty sure they have nothing to do with the rage, right? The old one had the same things, and attacks you with swords and cause bleeding on hit. So the rework one is just adding that rage part. 35 attack speed. I mean, yeah. I'm not sure. Not really sure. And then we have Rigvold's Command over here. And Rigvold's Command is a frenzy charge on kill, accuracy, attack damage with axes, physical damage, block attacks was your dual wielding. And now we get block attacks with dual wielding, fist and accuracy, but we get damage over time multiplier for bleeding per rage whilst wielding an axe. Okay. Okay. Huh. That is very interesting. Damage over time multiplied. I'm not sure. Like, I know we can use rage quite well with pretty much any build. Like the bleed lacerate build I did, we utilized mob mentality and a few other things with like the Warcries, so that we would actually generate rage, even though we're not using a rage support or using a Circer. So we did a bleed gladiator with tons of rage. I mean, damage over time multiplied per rage whilst wielding an axe, and you get 75 rage. That's 75% damage over time multiplied for bleeding. That's actually not bad, because we have cluster jewels allowing us to generate the rage and maintain it as long as we're killing things, right? So that means we can get it. This Rigvold's Command would inherently be a 75% damage over time multiplier for bleeding. To the crew. If you're using this one, obviously. Blah blah blah. Merle Dylan, thanks so much for the tier 1 sub 4 months in a row, man. Appreciate that, dude. So that could be pretty cool. I mean, you don't necessarily have to have this. Without this, you can literally use something else, like a proper siege axe or something like that, like a bleed siege axe, like the ones we crafted earlier that we then deleted. That's how we waste currency at the end of a league. So I mean, that's possible. Granted, this one would only give you 50% more damage through a multiple damage over time multiplier, which is actually pretty insane. I like the idea of this one. Rigvold Savage no longer grants. Oh, it's all described here. That's a new mod that increases your maximum rate with 25 while wielding a sword. Rigvold's Command no longer grants increased physical damage with extra chance to gain a frenzy charge. Now grants a multiplier to your bleeding damage equal to the amount of rage you have whilst wielding an axe. Originally, these weapons were only available as a rare drop from the Rigvold encounter, and they've lost their edge as time has passed. We've sharpened their rage-fueled identities with new mods that synergizes with each other, though of course you're also free to use them separately and evoke the Rigvold fight. Okay, that's interesting. Broken Faith, now, what does it say here? Cast Damage Leech, has block, you have an Holy Might, well you have no energy shield, create Profane Ground instead of Consecrated Ground, and 100% global armor, and while you have no energy shield.
Shit! Wow.
Neko with the 5 gifted subs. Thank you guys, appreciate it. Broken Faith now has its original minus 10% block chance mod instead of 5% block chance. It now grants Unholy Might while you have no energy shield instead of temporarily when you block. Okay. While holding it, now you create profane ground instead of consecrated ground. The new ground effect reduces all enemy resistances as well as making them more likely to be critical hit, but does not provide the life regeneration that consecrated ground does. Yeah, nobody gives a shit about the life regen from it, so that's okay. The first version of Broken Faith added to the game had a below average defensive stats for a shield in exchange for access to powerful damage. We're trying to return it to the role though with new mods that offer large amounts of damage or weak block chance of the original. Profane Ground also has an all-new visual effect that echo the theme of the item. Oh, I like this. I like it, actually. I really like it. It's interesting. It actually seems to be something people would be looking into using. Be not blinded by the light. Ungil's Harmony. Is that the crit multi one? Ungil's Harmony now costs critical strikes to deal no extra damage at all instead of minus 75% critical strike multiplier. Wait, what? What? But provides 350% increased critical strike chance instead of the old 100%. What? We've doubled down on the existing stats of this item, giving it an unparalleled amount of critical strike chance, but now making your crits deal no extra damage at all. Builds that care only about dealing critical strikes now have a way to do so more consistently, even at quite low levels. Okay, so you're basically just turning it into a cast on crit build. At level 23. What? That feels so weird. Like, it's literally just gonna turn into a cock leveling unit. Yeah, what Chronolin was saying. Elemental Overload cast on crit. I mean, yeah, I guess. It's kind of interesting. You know, you have to, like, give it a couple of seconds of looking at it and read through it and understand the item. And then you realize, oh, well, you know, it could be used for this and that. But at first glance, it's like, what the fuck's going on here? Okay. The Blood Dance. Blood Dance now gives 0.8% life regeneration per frenzy charge from 0.5, and 30% increased damage against enemies on low life per frenzy charge instead of 6. In exchange, it now reduces the attack and cast speed granted per frenzy charge by 4%, up from 3. The frenzy charge transforming nature of these boots have found uses over the years, but more than ever, they now turn you into a blood-crazed feed. The life regeneration per frenzy charge has been substantially increased, and with investment, you can receive a massive amount of damage against enemies who are near death. They even make your frenzy charge themselves drip blood now. Oh, so these are gonna be a nice pair of skin transfer boots. Oh, that's great. Skin transfer boots. Making your frenzy charge drip blood. Now that's cool. Yeah. Okay. Because regen life is shit. So yeah, that's good. We get it. Okay, nice. This part, that was a really good part. Wildfire. Wildfire no longer grants Multi-Strike additional protectors or area effect. Instead, it now allows Multi-Strike projectiles to chain and give them +1 chain, but halves the number of projectiles created. Well, that's interesting. Huh. Okay. No, these are limited to 1. Some Pathologics has threshold rules encouraging different playstyles of the skills they interact with, others just buff the skills. We're slowly moving towards the former type, making the change to existing threshold rules that feels mandatory for their skill. Wildfire used to provide a large, almost free boost to Multi-Strike's damage. It has now been completely redesigned to create a new playstyle for Multi-Strike, covering much more area with balancing magma balls but dealing lower single target damage. Multi-Strike damage has been buffed to compensate for the loss of the old Wildfire, and the distance traveled by its projectiles also properly scales with projectile speed now, letting you control their spread as much as you like. Huh. I actually really like this approach that they're offering, like different playstyles with them. So this is going to be cool, but I don't know. With the buff, I mean, we'll have to see the patch notes before we can make up our mind if this was terrible or not, but it doesn't feel too good. Olah-Toll's Embrace. The Bone Nova skill granted by Olah-Toll's Embrace now triggers on hitting a bleeding enemy instead of killing it. What? Oh, baby! A Breach exclusive unique upgrade when defeating the Mighty Breach to Olah-Toll. The Mighty. Should be suitably intimidating, but the build around potential of build Olah-Toll's Embrace was always hampered by not being able to trigger its signature Bone Nova against strong enemies. So we changed it so that it now also triggers at the location of the enemy you hit. Instead of firing from the player's location, it will still hit the enemy you triggered it from. The attack speed though. But you get a Bone Nova every time you hit a bleeding enemy. That's gonna be fucking insane. Bone Nova fires 8 projectiles. Trigger skills when you kill a bleeding enemy, but it's gonna be when you hit a bleeding enemy. Fires projectiles in a circle. You cannot cast the spell directly. Cannot cause bleeding. And the cooldown is 0.5 seconds. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. So I have a question about this though. Look at this here. Here. It now also triggers at the location of the enemy you hit instead of firing from the player's location. So does this mean that if you hit the boss with it, the boss won't take damage from it? Or does the projectiles start from inside the boss so that before they spread out, that it would actually hit the boss? Because when they triggered from you as a player, they would actually... and it will still hit the enemy you triggered. You know what? I should actually read. Thank you for having me here, Coach. It will still hit the enemy you triggered it from. Okay. Okay. It's... okay. Lean back, boys. Sit back. Okay, I got a headache here, and I'm still here. I don't have any other excuses. Literally right next to me. Okay. In that case, I really like it. The only problem with this weapon is the goddamn attack speed, dude. The goddamn attack speed. I love the idea of the Bone Nova. I've been wanting to do something with that for such a long time, and now that they're making it when you hit the bleeding enemy. Woo! Holy shit, boys. Just attack speed and everything else. I mean, generally, like, if you can scale the damage of the Bone Nova properly, all you need to do is make sure you hit once every 0.5 seconds. Good thing Cyclone exists, that is true. Woo! Dude, Olah-Tolls, we're definitely gonna make something with this. This is gonna be really fun, dude. Holy shit. I have to find a workaround on the attack speed, though, but still. Pretty goddamn dope in my opinion. Hot-footed, let's move on. Hot-footed, the movement speed while ignited granted by Hot-foot has been increased from 10 to 15 to 10 to 20, and attack speed cast speed was added while with matching values. Okay. Builds that set themselves on fire have been around for a while, but they never exactly broken the meta. We want to give Pyromaniac Exiles all the help they can get. Wait, what? Why would... okay, yeah, sure. The Anoint that makes projectiles return to you? Yeah, that would be insane, but keep in mind that the projectiles are started from the point of impact of the enemy, not on you. So the question is if the projectiles actually are originating from you, since they're not, would actually be returning with that anointment. So you'd have to double check that. Well, this was weird. Let's just move on. Brain Rattler now grants 50% chance to shock enemies instead of 15. And shocks as if inflicting 300% more damage in order to cause stronger shocks. What the fuck? Another boss exclusive weapon that has never quite seemed to live up to the fantasy it offers. Brain Rattler is a weapon for people who want to go all in on shocks with a melee build as opposed to the spellcaster who traditionally invest in shock. We powered up its shocking capability so that it can appropriately reward these builds. Okay. 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 Enemies who shock have 30% reduced cast speed. That's not bad either. Honestly? Like, when I'm looking at this, the only thing I can think of is like, put this on an Animate Guardian. Why is that the only thing I can think of? I don't know. You'd have to get this damage up though to get decent shock values, because otherwise you just use a skitter bot. It does seem pretty good though. The Dark Seer's global damage bonus has been increased from 30 to 50% to 40 to 60. Its chance of blind enemies on hit has been increased from 7 to 10. It now prevents blind from lowering your accuracy rather than making you completely immune to blind. It lets you inflict a powerful malediction debuff on enemies if you blind them while you, the player, are blind yourself. How are you going to blind yourself? That's for you to work out. Sure. Okay. Okay. Energy at max mana per level. Blind does not affect your chance to hit. 10% chance of to blind enemies on hit. And some extra damage. While you're blind, you have malediction. Malediction. I can't type malediction. When you kill an enemy, for each curse on that enemy, gain 8% of non-chaos damage as extra chaos. For 4 seconds, you can apply additional curse. You can apply additional curse, 50% increased effective of your curses. Enemies you curse have malediction. That's the occultist one, okay. Huh. That's interesting. Increased elemental damage. No, I see what you're saying there, Coach. I saw that the implicit damage is a chance to deal double damage. We saw that one. I even mentioned it. I'm not sure how I feel about the malediction approach to this. I feel like this one's still shit. What do you guys think? I feel like it's just terrible. Are you not excited about that? I mean, take Brain Rattler compared to Olah-Tolls. I'm not a big melee guy, but honestly, the Nova, woo, that's sexy as fuck. This, no. I don't know. I think this one's terrible. That's my verdict on this one. I think it's absolutely terrible. I mean, it's like... That is terrible. Or you're talking about the actual fact that we're getting the new implicit numbers. Obviously, we're assuming that we're going to get better these implicit values if they're not doing this specifically for the unique, which I think it's not going to happen. But we'll see. And we'll have to compare that with things like crit multi-basis and whatnot as well. I think this is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Is there anything else you want to go through in this specific video? I mean, we can talk about the preview of harvest crafting options as well. In Pathfinder Harvest, you'll cultivate your sacred grove, grow dangerous monsters, slay them. We'll use to use their life force as valuable crafting resources. The potential of harvest craft is immense, and should open up powerful options for leveling and endgame players alike. Today's news post reveals a preview of some of the crafting possibilities, crafting options. There are 200 new crafting introduced in Harvest. These are just a few of the more exotic ones. Note that the life force values are placeholders and arbitrary. Okay. Sacrifice a map to gain alpha missions. Okay, so missions. Change a stack of fossils into another type of fossil. A stack of fossil. That could be really cool. Change a stack of essence into another type of the same tier. Ooh, shit. So you buy the highest tier of some shit essence and you pray you get delirium, horror, woe, contempt. That could be fun to do, actually. Change the stack of essence into a different type of the same tier. Wait, that's the one. It's right there. It's the same one, man. Change stack of oils. Change a stack of catalysts. Change a map into random map fragments into random map fragments based on its tier. Wait. Change a map into random map fragments, plural, based on its tier. Oh shit. And with the way the Atlas system works, we're getting so many maps, dude. I was about to say the Life Force looks cheap, but I mean, it's just placeholders. This could be insane. Imagine taking tier 16 map and just blow it up. Get some fucking Shaper Elder Frags or something, if that's possible, we don't know. That could be pretty insane. Change the map into random map currency based on its tier. Okay. Sure. Change the map into a random scarab based on its tier. That's it? Okay. Well, that was interesting. Some of these can be pretty cool. I'm not a big fan of this. I mean, let's look at my character in-game. Let's see here. 48, 88, 109, 77, 68. And I have actually been doing some of these. Quite a lot of them, actually. And I still have way more than I'll ever use. So, I'm not sure. Early game, though. Early game, this can be really, really heavy. Especially when it comes to, like, getting out the craftings from June, getting some unique maps and whatnot from Sana, for example. You know, it's funny how everyone's like going crazy with like getting Sana to get the the synthesis maps, the Elder Shaper maps and whatnot, stuff like that. I think it's really cool, but everyone's forgotten how everyone was crazy hyped about the Untainted Paradise. Nowadays, nobody gives a fuck about Untainted Paradise. Alright, last one is the new and changed slam skills in Path of Exile Harvest. Maybe I'll go through the Warcries in this video as well, since it's going to be a pretty long one. In Path of Exile Harvest, we created a new category of skills called slams. We've introduced one new support and one new slam skill with several existing skills. Untainted Paradise have gone nerfed, yeah. Several existing skills have been recategorized as slams. Today's news post reveals which skills are now considered slams, how they've been improved, and information on how the new slam called Earth Shatter. Oh boy. Oh boy. In general, we're looking to provide more support for two-handed playstyles and builds that hit slower but hit harder. But slower is worse in GGG, or in PoE, we know that. These changes come alongside improvements to two-handed base types, more passive skill tree support, improvements to Warcries, and more. Fist of War support. Alongside our announcement of Harvest, we revealed the new Fist of War support that works with all slams except Vol slams and Ancestral War Chief. Every few seconds, an ancestor appears above your character and performs your slam in unison with you, creating a supercharged slam dealing much more damage with an increased area of effect. Every few seconds you'll have this. I'm not sure I like that. Phone slams that can be used with the Fist of War, Grounds, Tectonic, Earthquake, Earth Shatter, Sunder, Ice Crash, Concentrated Path. Perforate, Leap, Slam, Dorian's Touch for the Dorian's Fist unique. Okay. Earth Shatter is a new level 12 slam attack that sends out 5 damaging fissures in all directions when you slam the ground. At the end of each fissure, a spike bursts from the ground and remains for a short time. If these spikes are in the area of another slam or Warcry used by you or an allied player, the spikes will explode, dealing damage in the area around them. The range of the fissures combined with the area or exploding spikes ends up spreading damage over a large area with explosions overlapping near the location you slammed. Huh. You can alternate between slamming with Earth Shatter and using a Warcry, letting you kill enemies around you but detonating your spikes while simultaneously preparing to exert your next use of the skill. You can also easily leap slam into your spikes to trigger them while you move, and exploding spikes you can detonate other spikes near it. So you can leave a trail of spikes with repeated slams and set them off by leaping into one of them. Oh, well that's going to be very interesting. Tectonic Slam has received an impressive new visual effect and no longer used to charge slams. It instead counts endurance charges to grant more area and additional damage cracks in the ground. This improves the reward for investing in endurance charges by providing both a large and more consistent area of effect. I like that change actually. It now consumes an endurance charge every 3 slams rather than at random 35% chance. The additional cracks that endurance charges generate can spread out further from the base impact and are more deterministic. Enchantments that previously granted a chance to charge slam now grant an additional chance for cracks. Okay. Perforate now provides a flat physical damage that scales as the gem levels. The redistribution of its spikes in bloodstands have been made more consistent. A higher percentage of its spikes should hit a small target, and investment in area effect and or the number of spikes should keep this percentage of spikes hitting consistent. Okay. Sandstand's base area starts off slightly smaller, but increases as the gem levels. Perforate also provides 1 additional spike at all levels, and also grants 2 additional spikes if you change the stands recently. Ooh. The issue with Perforate in the past was that in Sandstands there were large gaps between spikes, which meant that enemies within those gaps would be missed. The extra spikes now provides additional area effect, vastly improves the number of targets that can be hit by a single slam. In Bloodstance, increased area effect used to be resulted in a loss to single target damage, and the extra spikes of the Perforate enchantment would be placed outside of the range for most small enemies and therefore wouldn't contribute any damage to single targets. These changes to Perforate improves its ability to hit enemies more reliably with a better spread of damage. I like this. This is really good. Sunder. Oh, is Sunder Boy coming back? Is Rice going to play Sunder? Oof. It's part of our efforts to encourage slower and heavier hitting slams. Sunder has become a much wider and longer but slower cascade. Using Sunder while one cascade is still in motion will cause the existing cascade to end prematurely. These cascades will always travel a minimum length. So you can still use Sunder effectively with Voltage Strike and hit and fast hitting weapons when close to enemies. It still releases shockwaves, which can overlap when they hit enemies. Leveling the gem no longer scales its radius, but instead scales its area of effect. Overall, it now provides a better area effect for slower hitting weapons. Ah, okay. These skills are receiving Earthquake, Ground Slam, and Ice Crash are receiving numerical changes, which will be revealed close to the launch. In general, the idea is to make them generally stronger. Okay. Okay. Other slam skills. The other skills that are now categorized as slams are mostly unchanged, but have had their visual effects improved and can be used with the Fist of War support. Check out the new slams in action in the video here. That looks so beautiful, dude. So that's Sunder. This one's Sunder. It's definitely slower. Yeah, let's go back and watch that again. Look at that. The problem I see with this is that, you know, generally when it comes to killing enemies, you have to, like, make sure that you kill everything fast. That's the problem with many builds I've encountered with Delirium, for example, where if you don't kill the pack fast, they would actually have uptime of doing damage to you because they were so tanky and you needed so much damage. Things like this is not very effective in the game. I don't know, maybe there's a way to speed that up. It looks amazing though. Boy. It's gonna be the League of Explosions. I love the way this looks, dude. It was quite noticeable with the spikes and Bloodstance as well. Melee meta. Right. Wait, was that Broken Fate? No, that looks like the normal Consecrated Ground. Okay, okay. Holy shit. Let's briefly talk about the Warcries as well before rounding this video off. The Warcry skills, like the problem I have with the Warcry skills, we're going to go through them real quick. Read under the video. Oh, before you go, you should also know that the Ground Slam, Sun, and Earthquake can also be used unarmed. Face breakers. Okay, okay. So the Warcries, we have some changes to the Warcries, and basically, like, it's Jojo we're making fun of. Instead of using them as like have them on your left mouse button when you're walking as a buff effect happening, they're actually going to be usable. The problem I have with the Warcries is generally this. They have a cooldown and they will exert your defensive or offensive approach to for X amount of attacks or a little bit of a time afterwards, and then there's a set cooldown before they're able to be used again, which means that there's situational or rotating buffs, which has never ever been a good thing in this game. Every time we've had anything like this, our main objective when utilizing buffs like this has been to make sure that we have as close to 100% uptime of them, if not 100% uptime of the buffs to make use of them. And that's something I'm getting really, really annoyed with when these changes. However, I do like the synergy that they will have with the slam abilities and whatnot. It's really cool. But I'm not a big fan of it. Like, look at the Enduring Cry, for example. It's a minimal rework. It generates endurance charge. That's it. We would only use it for endurance charges in this case. It also provides a short burst of powerful healing. Nobody gives a fuck about this. Nobody. I mean, it's as useless as the heal you get for Convocation. It also temporarily gives you additional resistances. Unless this resistance gives you additional max resistance, it will be completely useless unless you want to use it when you're leveling. And that's just weird to me. And it also gives you physical damage reduction for a short period of time. Now, most builds going in melee range, they want to have like either max block, or they want to go for something like physical damage mitigation to be capped. So unless this one increases the cap, it's going to be a little bit so-so. Unless, of course, you play a build that doesn't go for that. But then you would only have a buff that would give you this defensive number when you use it. And then there will be a gap where you don't have this, and it will be really weird. And that's why I don't like using these in general. Now, Intimidating Cry has another approach, and this is purely offensive. Achieved by intimidating nearby enemies and exerting your next few attacks to deal double damage. Now, this is amazing. The problem is that it will only give you double damage for a couple of hits, and then you will have to wait for the cooldown before you get that extra offensive gain again. It also provides a buff that ignores some of the enemy's physical damage reduction, which is pretty much non-existent in the game, even after the armor changes. Based on nearby enemy power, note that will reveal the number of exerted attacks with each Warcry created close to the launch. I don't know, it just feels weird. It's intended to be offensive counterpart of Enduring Cry, blah blah blah. Ancestral Cry, it's a new Warcry which is designed to work well specifically with strike skills. It causes your next few strikes to also target nearby enemies, similar to Ancestral Call support. Now this I really like, but unless you can keep up a full uptime of it, it's gonna be really, really, really weird. Because then you might use it, you clear a pack, and then when you get to the next pack, and if you don't have Ancestral Call or Splash in your gems, and you don't have the Cry up, then you'll have shit clearing till the cooldown's off. Then you use it, you kill that, and then you have the same issue on the next pack. It also provides a buff buff based on the power of nearby enemies, which both increases your melee range as well as providing bonus armor. Tend to be a well-rounded Warcry. I don't know. It just feels very, very weird. Seismic Cry, we created a new category of skills known as slam skills. We wanted to make a Warcry that synergizes well with these skills, causing your next few slam skills to have an increased area effect and more damage, which both increase with each attack until you reset the Warcry or your exerted attacks runs out. Knocks the enemies back and interrupts them when he taunts them, and then it grants you a buff based on nearby enemy power, which reduces enemy threshold, making it easier to stun enemies with your hits. Alright, so Juices is going to make a perma stun build. Rallying Cry has been reworked to give it a new identity as a traditionally worked with a support style build, so we've designed it to provide a new way to support allies. It causes your nearby allies to gain a buff that grants them a percentage of your main hand's weapons damage based on the power of nearby enemies. It also exerts your next few attacks to deal more damage based on how many allies you have near you, unlike most other Warcries. The power of the buff comes from power of both nearby enemies and allies. So summoners could actually utilize Rallying Cry for better damage approach to your minions, which is actually pretty cool. Now, we're going to talk about cluster jewels in a bit, because this could be abused so heavily. This is a rework to an existing skill to give you a new identity. They obviously seem to fit a very supported type of role, but we wanted to do a new way to support allies. It works well with minions or to support a full party of allies. Infernal Cry, this was previously known as Abyssal Cry, and we received a full rework. I don't like that they're removing Abyssal Cry, I can tell you that right now. We aim to keep its old features while providing some new exciting ones to refresh its appeal. It covers enemies in ash, which is really good, because there's not that many ways for us to do that. A debuff that scales with the power of nearby enemies. It also causes enemies that are affected by this debuff to explode with fire damage when they're slain, similar to how Abyssal Cry works. It also exerts your next few attacks to trigger Combust when hitting an enemy. Combust is triggered area effect skill that granted by the Infernal Cry gem. It scales with attack damage modifiers and can benefit from your supports. I like this idea, but I'm not a big fan of that Abyssal Cry was removed. General's Cry, which we have not seen yet. We're going to see more information closer to launch. This is an intense new Warcry that has been designed to be very open-ended in how it can be used. It's a skill/support hybrid which melee attack skills can be linked to. This Warcry summons ghostly mirage warriors from corpses near you. These ghosts use one of the linked skills once before dissipating. The number of warriors you summon is based on the total power of nearby enemies as well as the power of nearby corpses. Now here's the funny thing with this. You can have trigger skill when you use a skill, Desecrate. You can have the Arcanist brand use something like Unearth or Desecrate to generate corpses. Now, we're going to talk about cluster jewels, because you can stack cluster jewels that would allow you to have counted enemies as, to have your Warcries count as having X amount of enemies near you. So you can actually stack this up to have like 60 to 70, 80, 90 enemies around you, right? And then on top of that, have enemies around you, like actual enemies. And then corpses. To summon some insane, absolutely insane things. The problem with this is the similar problem I've been mentioning with the other cries. Now, you could potentially make a General's Cry build. The problem is that as long as that ability is on cooldown, you will be completely screwed over. Completely screwed over. Vault Breach, that's a nice suggestion. The problem is that they will only use their ability once. Maybe an enchant will allow them to use it 2, maybe 3 times. We don't know. But as long as the cry is on cooldown, you will have nothing else happening from this ability. So if you're focusing entirely on this to make a really cool General's Cry build, which I'll probably try to do, obviously, it's still going to be in a situation where if you can't do anything about the cooldown, you will only have your damage up till the cooldown's off, and then you'll have to run around dodging everything until your cooldown's back up, which is the problem in general with these cry abilities, which I don't like about it. But there are some abusing capabilities of it, similar to Rallying Cry, that gives a percentage of the weapon's damage based on nearby enemies. If you stack cluster jewels, you can get so many enemies counted as near you, and they also changed so that well, I think there was white enemies were counted as 1, magic as 5, rare as 10, and uniques as 25 or something like that, like bosses. So that would allow you to get a lot of extra power based of enemies actually around you on top of abusing the cluster jewels that they've confirmed to be able to be stacking. So we're gonna watch this this video here with the Seismic Cry, and as you can see, the Seismic Cry has a big cooldown. Rallying Cry, look at the cooldown down here. Look at the cooldown. It also seems like when he's enabling it, it gives him 5 exerted attacks, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it's a big ass cooldown. 8 on the Ancestral Cry. 8's actually not that bad. However, something we do notice already is that the cooldown seems to be ticking even if you have your buff and exerted attacks there. So they seem to be stored, and the cooldown's already ticking when you're using them. So I guess that's okay. Might not feel as bad once you get to it. Maybe support it with like Second Wind or something, I don't know. Intimidating only gave you 2 charges, it seems. Yeah, 2 charges, and then there's going to be a huge cooldown where he's no longer having anything with Intimidating Cry happening till the cooldown's back up again. Enduring Cry seems to have better cooldown, generates endurance charges, so again, it's like I mentioned before, we're going to use it for that purpose alone. 4 attacks on the Infernal Cry, and the cooldown's off. And this is very slow pacing of a character. Keep in mind that these things, we're still in a situation where most of us are going to use Leap Slam, Dash, Shield Charge, anything to move between packs. And that means that most likely these Cry buffs would soak up one of those for the purpose of that alone. Alright, I know this video turned a little bit long. For those of you who watched all the way to this end, I appreciate it. But that's the updates that I've been missing for the last 2 days. Basically, I'm concerned about the cooldown of the Warcries skills, just to give you guys a little TLDR. I'm a big fan of the Olah-Toll. It's going to be fun to do something with that. Blood Dance, well, that's a skin transfer. I love the idea of the Ungel's Harmony being allowed to be used as an cock leveling unique. It could be really cool to do something with that. Broken Faith seems to be really good now. I like the idea of the rig vault changes, so it's going to be fun to see if people are actually going to do builds with this. Brain Rattler, I'm not so sold on this one. However, as mentioned, we do get a new implicit number. Hot-footed, yeah, you know, whatever. Darkseer still going to be a vendor unique, whatever. The crafts, I like these. It's going to be fun to see how much they're going to cost. I'm mostly excited about the fragments. Where's the fragments one? Change a map into random map fragments, plural, based on its tier. That's going to be very, very fun to see how that's going to work out. And last but not least, Earth Shadow looked amazing. I love the idea of this. However, I do want to mention that Sunder feels like they kind of cocked it over. But we're going to see how it performs, because I feel like abilities that are not applying their damage as fast or instantaneously is going to be less wanted because of the way the game is being played at the moment. However, it did look amazing. Either way, that's it for these updates. We're gonna keep streaming, and guys, hit me up in the comments below what you guys feel about the changes, and make sure you hit that like button, subscribe for more content. Until next time, stay safe and keep rocking.